Hi, welcome to Meta Minutes, your bite-sized pieces of the metaverse. My name is Rene from Valorem Reply, and as you can see, today we're actually talking about the metaverse inside of the metaverse. We're right here in Meta's Horizon workroom in the beautiful XR Bootcamp workroom. Well, and today we're going to talk about a very important topic near and dear to my heart. We're going to talk about XR Metaverse education and diversity. And for this, I'm honored to welcome our special expert guest today, Rahel Demant. Hi, Rahel, and welcome to the show. How are you today?
Hi, Renee. I'm fine, thanks. I hope you too. I'm very excited to be here. It's my first interview inside the metaverse. So thank you very much for making this possible, Renee. And yeah, I'm looking forward to talking with you about everything about metaverse education and diversity and inclusion.
Awesome. Let's do a quick high five here. Ooh,
Woo.
there we go. Yes. All right. Now we are in the right mood, folks. Okay. So, Rahel, before we start, tell us a little bit about your background, real quick, about like your metaverse, game development, and XR background in the end.
Of course. Yeah, for me, my XR and metaverse virtual reality journey started in 2016, already quite some time ago, when I joined Crytek. And Crytek has lots of amazing video games, but also some virtual reality games, which I was allowed and able to try there, like the Climb. And I was so fascinated from climbing up virtual mountains, and it was just so beautiful and amazing to insert myself into these virtual worlds, which had been so new to me back then. And yeah, I was just learning more and more about it, and also managing a project for the virtual reality games. And that basically made me and allowed me to build my network in the space and to meet my current co-founder. And yeah, and that's basically my background. It was basically by coincidence, by jumping into this company, and then yeah.
I love it. I love it. So very diverse background and really driven by passion and really having a motivation for the technology. So I love this, right? I mean, this is really how you move things forward. Is you gotta love it, right? Like you cannot be forced into this kind of stuff. Let's dive into our today's topic. Let's start with a simple, but well, it's also a complex question with the state of the art these days. So, what is the metaverse for you, and where do you see the potential?
Yeah, I mean, the metaverse, it's such a big word. For me, it's describing this vision of what we've basically seen in Ready Player One, of this huge virtual world where we can play, where we can do car races without putting anyone else in danger, and have like these crazy experiences, meet new friends, and just have a completely different world, free and full of fantasy and imagination. So it basically, to me, describes a vision of something what's possible in the future. I guess far, far away in the future, because of course we are near that. And I think that's also the difficult point, because if you're asking me what is the metaverse today, I guess it's only yeah, I mean, it's virtual reality games. You can buy the Oculus Quest, you can play virtual reality games, but unfortunately, it's never what advertisements promise to us, right? And I think also for people who are not working in the space, sometimes it's so hard to distinguish, actually, because there's features which are actually in these advertisement videos, there's features which you can actually do and experience, but then there's also like all these like hologram experiences depicted, and you're trying you're basically buying a headset or like looking at the ad and think, wow, that's so cool. I want to be a hologram at the next concert or whatever is depicted there. And then you're buying it. And then it's not at all like that because it's just not possible yet. So I think the metaverse is really this vision, which kind of like comes through all these different advertisement videos we are seeing and what we're kind of imagining what's possible. But when you're looking at the metaverse today, it's a whole different story.
Yeah. Yes, fully agree. As like, there's this vision, this kind of broad understanding, right? Like this is the new immersive internet, basically. And then today we have this more, I would say, like exactly like you said, like more a narrow kind of understanding where some people are just using it for a new term instead of VR and AR, right? Or like a replacement for the XR term or whatever. But it's much, much more than that. And yeah, we'll see how that turns out. I mean, in the end, we need the true vision of the metaverse, right? The full interoperability with one metaverse. But right now, what we see is, of course, just the beginning.
But it helps us
But
to imagine things, so it makes us more creative, and it's it's cool to fantasize around it and like hopefully like explore what it could be.
exactly, and we can define it, and we can drive it, and we can, make an impact potentially. And I know you actually also enable folks to make an impact in that space, right? Like together with Ferhan Özkan, your co-founder, you're running the XR Bootcamp organization, right? So tell us a little bit what you are doing there and what it is.
Yeah, so basically, I mean, we were both working at Crytek back then, and we were starting VR First, an university initiative. And what we were seeing back then, of course, the headsets were super expensive, right? And you definitely always needed a PC, like a gaming PC, which was also super expensive. So educating people in the space was a huge problem because not all universities have the funds to basically spend 7,000 euros per student to enable them to learn, right? But the companies, on the other hand, they are always saying, hey, where are the talents? Where are the developers? We need to hire them because we want to create cool XR virtual reality experiences. So what we said was, okay, tech companies, what can we do together? And we got a huge amount of donations, actually, which was amazing. We donated hundreds of headsets to different universities really all around the world. So with VR First, today we have 52 virtual reality labs, and we
Wow.
supported, of course, the universities with our knowledge, with the equipment to really start educating more and more XR developers. But on the other hand, what we were also seeing is that universities are, of course, if you're like a student at universities, you take 3 to 5 years to graduate, and it's just too much time you need to be available to the market. And the companies were always saying, okay, where are these talents now that we can hire? So there's still this lag, right? Like still this lag of like getting developers quickly onto the market, and that's where coding bootcamps come in. So you definitely probably know coding bootcamps, which are all these training programs where as a newbie can basically join, and in 3 to 6 months you're learning how to code and can basically
Mhm.
become a junior web developer in any company. So what we were seeing back then is that's a really cool concept, and it really works. I mean, coding bootcamps have like hiring quota from like if you're
Mhm.
just like even if you're coming from marketing or a completely unrelated field, like in 3 to 6 months you have a new job. Like you really like can start a new job and can join the XR, the development field in general, in just a few months development learning time. So we were saying, okay, if this works for other development field, why wouldn't that work with VR, where we already know so many companies that want to hire XR developers? And that's why we started basically XR Bootcamp. And we're also happy to have you on our advisory board
Oh,
to give
thank you
us
so much.
advice on to give us advice on how we should actually structure this curriculum. How can we make the best connection with hiring companies, and educate developers in the best way possible, and really only focus on skills that you may need in the future. So it's a challenge because tech is changing all the time in virtual reality. So we have to constantly update our curriculum and make sure it stays relevant. But we're happy that we have amazing people in our team and our teacher trainer, XR trainer team, which are currently all the time updating the curriculum and also always making sure that what we're teaching is up to date, and makes sure that the graduates from our boot camps and from our courses also get the fitting job opportunities afterwards.
This is awesome. And like you said, like I'm happy to advise a little bit only, but you guys actually don't need much of an advice. I mean, you have fantastic trainers, you have fantastic curriculum, and yeah, great stuff. And also, like you said, I also love that you're actually, funding and making sure like, young folks are actually also getting a moment, even if they maybe cannot afford such a course, right? They can be sponsored. And I love that you're also enabling this with this kind of scholarship program, if you will. So this is
Yeah, we
awesome.
have
Yeah. And
yeah, we have a very, very cool actually program now that we're going to announce at AWE in June. Meta is actually supporting us with a very big grant to sponsor 15 students from very diverse backgrounds to join XR Bootcamp, like the whole 5 months program. And I mean, I'm inviting anyone who's like basically coming from an underrepresented background to apply and to join. It's fully financed. There's zero costs. You just basically need a headset and a laptop to join the program. And it's a very cool opportunity to take up your chances in the XR world.
exactly, do that, folks. Right. Rahel and Farhan are amazing. And like I said, the trainers are great. So you won't regret it. It's great. And again, it's a great opportunity, right? Um, You mentioned a good point, right? Like this scholarship is also for folks that come from a diverse background and underrepresented minorities and things like this, right? And it's a very important topic because, like, let's be honest, our field of XR, AR, VR, MR, metaverse, 3D development, or in general, development and all software related things, they don't really have a very diverse community. I mean, it's changing a little bit, but at least my observation throughout the years. Well, I don't tell you how old I am, but I'm here for quite a while already. But yeah, unfortunately, it's a sad state of affairs since many years, right? Like there's a lack of diversity. And so my question for you, since you're also a big advocate of it, how can we change that? How can we make the field more diverse and inclusive?
Yeah, I mean, it's an important question, and of course, there is a lot of structural, systemic changes, which, as a small community, as just the XR community, we cannot even tackle. But there is, of course, small things we can do to try to change as much as possible. And yeah, I mean, the XR community is basically a gamer community, and the gamer community, as far as I know, as like recent statistics, is still like 73% white and male, obviously. So
Yeah.
how can we change that? I mean, if you're like a woman and you're seeing all these XR experiences, virtual reality games, etc., which are mainly done by this white and male community, of course it's reflected, right? It's not like particularly attractive to women. And obviously, if something is not being designed for you or even with you, which would be much better, right? Then why are you going into a space that has nothing to offer to you, which is just not interesting to you? And that's why it's so important that, yeah, we are, of course, like us, enabling education for anyone who would be interested in actually changing the space, in creating their own experiences, into like making it much more attractive for a diverse community. And that's what we are trying to do basically with our education programs. And also, what I always think is super important is that there should be and there have to be much more role models. Because if you're seeing that there's only men successful in the space, also like you're asking yourself, okay, why I'm going there as a woman, because apparently women are just not successful in the space, right? So I think it's much more highlighting successful women, which is always a great idea. And then if there are not so many, of course, supporting women who may be successful in the future, and also making them showcase themselves and show themselves, and yeah, and tell positive things about the space, so it doesn't sound so negative and only male focused. So I think there's lots of things we can do about that. And yeah, I hope that with our scholarship and with featuring also our student, our graduate stories who are successful in the space and who are yeah, basically like creating their own cool XR experiences and working at big companies, that we can change the industry step by step and make it
Awesome.
more inclusive and diverse.
Like we're not going to change it overnight, of course, right? So it takes a while, but honestly, I think there's a good way we're seeing it's getting better, I would say, but still a long way to go. And programs like you described really help with it. So thank you so much. And well, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your insights. That was very much appreciated. I think we all enjoyed it. So thank you so much, Rahel.
Thank you so much, Rene, for inviting me. This was fun.
Let's do the final high five here. All right. Thank you so
High
much.
five.
Boom. There we go. Look at this. We love virtual high fives. Of course, we also love real high fives, but virtual high fives is just the second best, I would say. Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining us today for yet another episodes of Meta Minutes, your bite-sized pieces of the Metaverse. Watch our blog, follow our social media channels to hear all about the upcoming episodes, and of course, visit our website to see all the previous episodes, as well as to check out the episodes of our sister show called Qbytes, your bite-sized piece of the quantum computing. But until then, take care and see you soon in the Metaverse. Bye bye.
Bye.